So here in this section, we're going to look at a little bit more about the experiences of some of the people during the Great War from 1914 to 1918. I want you to just take a moment and look at this picture. Originally, this picture was in black and white, and there's this big project going on right now all around the world where they're taking these old black and white photos from World War I and stuff, and they're colorizing them. And it's pretty cool to kind of get a different look at it. Now, they only colorize them so much because, you know, we only let white people join the army. But it's not 100% true. We told black people they also had to go fight, but we just gave them no rights and we treated them like crap. Yeah. But it is interesting to kind of see some of these British soldiers. These are British soldiers who would have gone off and fought through the First World War. A lot of them are basically no older than, you know, some of them are 16, 17, 18 years old. There's plenty of records of like 14, 15-year-olds going and signing up for the Army, lying about their age, you know what I mean? Like, it had to be a lot easier to do that in 1914 than it is today. Like, you just walk in there and you have a 15-year-old that, you know, looked like Mikey did when he was 15. He'd go in there and be like, I'm 18. And then they'd be like, okay, here's your gun, son. He's 16, 15, 16-year-old going off to shoot Germans, right? But it's really crazy to really think about just, you know, these are children. Like, these are kids. These are young kids going off to fight this war. I mean, imagine, you know, graduating from high school and immediately going to, like, a war where millions of soldiers die. Kind of terrible. And again, you know, this kind of just gives you an idea of some of the wars, the things that are happening around during the World War I. You have a couple big showdowns between France and Germany, like the First Battle of Marne, September of 1914. The French end up putting a defensive line around Paris, and they're actually able to stop the Germans because the Belgians had actually slowed down the German advance, but because the Germans were expecting to just roll through Belgium in a matter of days. But the Belgians had put up such a fight that the French had time to really put up a line that they could defend. You know, they have people from Paris. The French are taking taxis, literally driving them out to the front lines in taxis, and just as many people out there as they can get to try and stop the German advance. But in World War I, they do actually end up stopping the Germans from taking Paris. But you see a shift in the nature of war, and you end up with what's known as the Western Front because of this. So they start to dig in, and the British and the French are also going to dig in, and the Germans are going to dig in, and they're going to create these trenches. And we see them create over 400 miles of trench, okay? Literally from here all the way down this dotted line, they basically create one long trench down the middle of Europe, a ditch that was 400 miles long. Okay, and for most of the war, this is where the fighting basically took place in World War I, because the old way of fighting didn't work anymore, right? Now you have machine guns, and everybody, you have machine guns, but you don't have tanks. So you're in this weird position between you have an incredible killing machine that can fire 600 bullets a minute or a second or whatever, like something crazy. Freaking nuts. We're talking about like 100, like, I don't know what the fire rate on these guns are, but it's ridiculous. Like, you're talking, what? Dude, I bet you this, like, it's crazy. And so you can just cut people in half with bullets. I mean, literally. But you don't have any improvement in, like, you know, the technology to protect yourself. So basically, they get to the point where they can't advance any further, and they just, like, dig a ditch. And then they stay in the ditch for about 4 years. Basically, World War I, Germany invades Belgium, gets almost all the way to Paris, They set up the trench, and then in 4 years, nobody moves more than about half a mile.
Do they have planes?
Basic planes. I mean, you're talking about the Wright brothers invent the first plane in like 1906. So like basic nothing. I mean, you have planes, but they're basically flying over and they're holding bombs in the cockpit with them and just dropping them. You know what I mean? Like literally. There ain't no, like, if you want to shoot somebody out of a plane, you got to have a gun and like hold the stick and then shoot. Like, this is not the front end of this. There's mud and rats and lice, and it's awful. You know, it's just a big long hole in the ground. They would sleep there. They stayed there all the time. Cold, hot, rain. You do have barbed wire, so then the land between the trenches, you had one trench over here about 100 yards away and then another trench, and then the land between it was called no man's land because nobody could survive there. And basically, for 4 years, they would go, okay, we're going to launch an attack on the Germans today. All right, when we blow the whistle, you climb up out of this ditch and you run across this field and trying to get to their trench. And then they go, and the whole time, there's somebody sitting over on the other side with a machine gun that can shoot 60 bullets in the time you could say, all right, everybody climb, and then you're dead. And so as soon as, and they're just focused flat on the ground, and anytime they see a helmet stick up, they just go, you have like 1,000 machine guns go like, at the first helmet that comes up. So for 4 years, they're like, all right, guys, ready? When you blow the whistle, go. And then like 30 guys climb a ladder and then get out and then instantly get shot. For 4 years, that's basically how World War I went. Yeah. Now they do have planes. They do start having planes that and they develop chemical warfare. Yeah, mustard gas and like chlorine gas. So also, you throw it into a trench and then you fill the trench up and kill everybody. Yeah.
I thought it was 100 yards away.
No, but you can fly a plane and just drop it. Super futile, super useless. Trench warfare was insane. Very difficult for anybody to gain the upper hand. So again, here you have the front line trench, and then you have all this barbed wire, right? Then you have more support trenches, so you would dig a trench and then you'd work a tunnel up and dig a trench a little bit closer. You'd work up and dig a little bit closer, and all along the way you'd make these bunkers where you have machine guns, and underground you have where people would live and sleep, and then it's kind of crazy. And then way back here you have artillery that's launching freaking shells and exploding shells. So anybody that comes out here, this is just, this looked like the moon out between these trenches, nothing. Just exploded nothingness with dead bodies with rats eating them because nobody can go get them because you'll get shot as soon as you get out of the trench. And so, this is kind of crazy. And so that's pretty terrible. I mean, it was not good. Yeah, just like that. Except you don't get shot at. And so it was very difficult. And then so basically you just were told, hey, climb out and then go run. And then you go and run artillery and it's landing all around you. And you're like, okay, I'm not dead yet. And then you get to the barbed wire. And you're like, oh my gosh, barbed wire. And then you crawl under it in the mud. And then you're all cut up and nasty. And all your friends are dead. And you're like, I'm through the barbed wire. Yay, we're going to do something. And then you realize you're the only one left. So you get to their trench and there's 400 guys just sitting there going, boom, and shoot you in the face. You're like, hey, I'm out, boom, and then you're dead. So that would be a crappy 30 minutes of life to end it. Again, you do have new weapons. You have the airplane. You have flamethrowers. Oh, yeah. How about that? You got a flamethrower on your back, which is basically just a tank full of gasoline. And then you got a sprayer hose. and you're going out there and you run, and then somebody shoots your tank, and then it explodes and kills all your friends and covers them with gasoline. But heck, if you make it all the way to the trench with a dadgum flamethrower, you just spray it down in there like ants, bro. Like, that's like Roundup for British dudes. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're all dead now. It's okay. We can talk about it. Yeah, can you imagine flying in like a Wright Brothers plane and just like they're like, hey, we need to go throw these bombs out, and it's like, bro, this was invented like 10 years ago. Like, you just want me to throw some bombs out? Like, yeah, just drop these bombs. Like, what's in it? Oh, like nitroglycerin. Oh, yeah, don't have a rough takeoff or you'll explode. Oh, great. You also have, the machine gun. By the end of the war, you end up with some tanks. Then that just changes the game, too, because you just roll through no man's land and then you just unload everybody and they just kill everybody. So it got pretty crazy. Very limited, though. So, yeah, and then you have the submarines, which are just sinking everybody's boats. So then you have the gas, where, poison gas. And here's the problem with poison gas, though, is that, like, it's windy in Europe. So, like, you take and you fly and you throw poison gas into the other trench. You're like, got him. And then the wind blows the gas back to your trench. So you end up gassing all your own people. So, whoops. Yeah, pretty messed up. World War I sucked. Most new technologies are offensive technologies. You do have some defensive technologies during this time. Yeah, that's a gas mask for a donkey. You do have like the development of the gas mask. It's kind of funny that, they had one, for their little donkey here. And so that's nice. If you're going to get gassed, at least you have a gas mask. But it's a war of attrition for the most part. It's basically nobody wins. Nobody's doing anything in particular. At Verdun, from February to December of 1916, there are over 750,000 killed. So I think we did the math on this one day. From February to December, that's essentially like 330 days. 330 times 2,000 would be 600. No, it'd be 20,000. 2,000. Yeah, 2,000 be 660. So you're basically looking at about 2,100 people killed every day for not 11 months. Just seriously, though, wrap your mind around that. 2,100 people killed every day for 11 months straight. From July to November, 6 months, over 1 million killed at this battle. 1 million in 6 months. Half a year, 180 days. Like 4,000 people a day. That's insane. Okay? It's like, what is that? Like 200 people a minute or an hour or something like that. It's 3 people a minute for 6 months get killed. I mean, it is unbelievable how many people are being killed in the First World War. It's just, I mean, they just kept throwing people at each other. In one battle, the Battle of Somme, the British, on the first day, lost 60,000. 60,000 on the first day. And so, yeah, I mean, you're talking about just crazy numbers. But you also have people fighting all over the world. All of these people's colonies are going to fight because the colonies are where they're going to get all of their supplies to supply the army and to outfit them. And so you're seeing fighting all over the world. You have troops in Senegal fighting in France. You have African troops fighting for Germany. You have the Indian bicycle troops at the Battle of Somme. They bring them in from India, and they're riding bikes onto the battlefield. I mean, literally. I mean, it's just, you have people from Jamaica fighting for France. Yeah, I mean, it's just unbelievable. So because the colonies come to war with the European countries, the war is going to continue to spread. And it becomes the first global war, the first world war. In the Pacific, you have colonies from Germany that are seized by Japan and Australia and New Zealand. The Ottoman Empire goes and allies with Germany. The U.S. and Latin America end up trying to stay neutral, but we do know that they end up going ahead and joining later on. This is a picture from a guy named T.E. Lawrence. And if you've ever heard of the movie Lawrence of Arabia, yeah, no, probably not. Okay, but it's a very famous old movie. He worked for British military intelligence in the Middle East, and he had been there for several years. And so after the First World War, he's able to kind of turn a lot of these Arab communities against the Ottomans, against the Turkish people, and get their help fighting against that. So a lot of the Middle East kind of ends up fighting for the Allies as well. And so it's huge and crazy how many people end up involved in this. On the home front, obviously, you end up with a lot of like propaganda. It allows people to expand governmental power. You end up with the institution of the draft. You have tons of regulation of industry and food rationing. That's going to take place. Everything's going to go in. This is going to become like total warfare. They also censor and create propaganda. They kind of, you can see here the big gorilla capturing the white girl and they're like apparently naked now for some reason. And, you know, the gorilla has a German helmet on, so they're saying the Germans are going to rape all the people in America. I don't know. It's kind of weird. And here you have, you know, like showing all of the bad, what? Spanking them. Why? Because they were bad. Like school teachers, school kids, like they're saying, oh, you know, this is America's going to spank it, or I guess this is Germany is spanking everybody. Yeah. Women also are going to get involved here. You're going to see a huge influx of women in the workforce. This is going to continue to push that whole voting rights thing forward. There's, you know, support your man, do all this. And again, the whole idea of total war kind of ends up being the unintended consequence of some of this. And it is going to transform the ways in which America and the world is going to fight and approach war. So, yay.